Hi everyone. Today we'll be talking about one of the circulars, that is the MEPC 83, which was conducted in the month of April in the year 2025, where certain guidelines have been provided for the ships which are trying to reduce their greenhouse gas uh, fuel intensity over the period of time. Now let's have a look at the graph that has been provided. This is an extract being taken from the ABS Classification Society, and here you'll see that there is a comparison of grams of CO2 equivalent per megajoules in the y-axis against the year, the upcoming years up to 2050, where we are trying to be carbon neutral, where we are going to achieve a carbon neutrality. So here you will see that in the year 2008, 93.3 grams CO2 per megajoule was achieved as the standard, and from here we have started drawing our base target for the vessels, and coming down there is a tier 1 curve, that is the direct compliance GFI. So the direct compliance is at the bottom, and here we have our base targets. And below these two is the tier 2 surplus, the green zone, where the ships are getting rewards for the use of near zero greenhouse gas emission technologies, subject to the wave well to wake uh, emission of greenhouse gases. Now let's look at the mechanism of this graph. Now let us say ship is pretty old, more than 25-30 years, and it at the year 2030 it falls somewhere around this region. So it is tier 2 deficient, that is, it is not able to achieve this -8% reduction in the greenhouse gas emission. So uh, there are there are compliance issues for this kind of vessel. So what is going to happen is that the vessel either needs to do pooling from the other fleets, or it has to do periodic banking of the surplus units from the other quarters or other years, or it has to go for an outright purchase of the residual units, that is $380 per ton of CO2 gas emitted. So this is the harshest criteria. For the ships which are residing in this tier 2, it cannot economically trade for a larger period of time, as you can evidently see in this graph. Now there is a second zone, that is the tier 1 deficit. It is a zone between the base target GFI and the direct compliance GFI. So in this region, the there is a payment of rupees $100 per CO2 emitted, and all this money which goes into the IMO net zero fund. Basically uh, it's a bank which accumulates all the amount which has been paid by the ship owner. Now coming down to the tier 2 surplus, these are the ships which have achieved their targets, and this target is designed in such a way that only for those vessels which are using the greenhouse gas emission technologies such as the carbon capture, etc., will make into this criteria. And in case they have the surplus, they are rewarded by this IMO net zero fund. Also, you can take an example where a ship owner has a fleet of 10 ships, out of which 5 ships fall under tier 1 deficit, and 5 ships are under the net tier 2 surplus, this region. Or it may have 5 ships which fall under tier 2 deficit and 5 ships which fall under net tier surplus. So this for these ships, the surplus unit from these 5 ships. Okay, so deficiency here and there is a surplus here. So this amount is going to adjust here. That is what they are saying here, using the term surplus units from other ships, pooling. Like you can pool your fleet in such a way that the surplus ships, tier 2 surplus ships, take care of the tier 2 deficit. This can go on for certain period of time, but then the things will catch up. But eventually you may have to scrap the ships which are tier 2 deficit. This is a mechanism which has been bought so that the industry is able to cope up with the targets that has been given to it. So it's not that overnight you scrap all the old ships and start building all those new efficient greenhouse non zero or near zero greenhouse gas efficient ships, which is not practical. So this mechanism helps us to achieve the targets. So I hope you had got a brief understanding of the latest MEPC 3 uh, meeting which has happened in the month of April 2025, and this aspect has been emphasized during the meeting.